This is Raven Dana. It is Friday, the 29th of December, 2023. And thanks for joining me and to come for a little walk between the worlds with me today. Well, we're in that week when time stands still and we are paused between one year and the next. And we have this week of contemplation where even though there's a lot of busyness and there's a lot of preparation for New Year's Eve and the celebration, there's also usually some looking back, some decision making, some thoughts about what people call resolutions. And I'm going to today encourage you to throw the idea of resolutions out the window, that by and large, what people do for the new year ends up as some kind of list of shoulds, rather than a way to move forward powerfully, to chase your dreams and follow your preferences and live a life you love. So I'm going to suggest that you do something different this year. First of all, I'm going to suggest that you make it a year in which you first and foremost claim agency over your own life. And if you think you already do that, take a look at the past year and how many times, how many circumstances, how many people you gave your power over to. In other words, times you did what you really didn't want to do, times you put up with things that you didn't want to put up with, times that you cost yourself energy or health in order to do what you thought you should do, or what other people thought you should do. So I'm going to ask you to claim yourself. You know, if we start from the place of I choose me, which doesn't mean not being kind to others, it doesn't mean not being helpful to others. What it means is giving yourself the same time and attention you would give to anybody else. And that's typically what we unlearn at a very early age. When we want things at an early age, we're often brushed off. We're often taught that wanting things is selfish. We're often told to put our needs aside because the timing isn't right, or somebody's tired, or this needs to be done. And, you know, to a certain degree, of course, we're going to grow up and make choices that sometimes look like we're a little tired or a little behind the eight ball, and we still do something for somebody else. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm talking about is that most of us, by the time we're adults, end up with a lifestyle in which we choose to do things unconsciously, unwittingly, unwillingly, based on old thoughts and habits and patterns that do not serve us. So if you're going to jettison something about the past year, let's start there. Let's jettison that. Imagine what your life would be like this coming year if you really followed your heart and your instincts, if you really let your intuition be your guide, rather than following some set of rules and regulations, some ideas about what you should do or must do, or even trying to quote unquote live up to your potential. That's fine if you want to. It's also fine if you have the possibility to be a concert pianist and it doesn't, the lifestyle does not turn you on at all, so you don't want to do it, right? Just because you can do something doesn't mean you must do it or you should do it. It doesn't even mean that it's your calling or your destiny to do it. So think about that. I'd like you to enter this year with a brand new way of thinking about your contribution to the world. That your true contribution to the world is being the being that you are, present in the moment, available to the people around you, and able to use your energy to shift, change, and navigate through circumstances, rather than reacting, doing things the way you've always done them, putting up with things you don't want to put up with, and, like I said, putting your own self on the back burner somewhere. I'm not advocating being a selfish twit, so I don't want you to go down that road. I am advocating starting with kindness to yourself. Frankly, the way you treat yourself is a roadmap that shows the people around you how to treat you. So, treating yourself with a little bit of consideration and kindness up front to make sure your basics are taken care of, that you're getting enough rest, that you're having enough play and pleasure. These are the kinds of things I would encourage you to put on your schedule, your list of things to allow yourself to do in the new year. Instead of creating a list of resolutions, I would invite you to create a list of new permissions. I give myself permission to play. I give myself permission to take a nap if I want one. I give myself permission to say no to an invitation without explanation, defense, or justification. Right? I give myself permission to really be who I am. I give myself permission to tell the truth rather than say what I think other people want to hear. I give myself permission to speak my mind rather than be politically correct. Again, this doesn't mean I'm advocating that you are a jerk. It means I am inviting you to find a new level of ease in being exactly who you are at a new level of honesty. There's a way in which the magic of the world flows through us and surrounds us unimpeded the more we are present in the moment and being our authentic selves. In other words, when you fight the flow, you hit roadblocks. When you fight the flow of energy by wearing your mask and by being in a world of pretending in order to appear to hold it all together when really you'd rather be doing something else, right? It's hard on us. That's a hard way to live. So it's not that you're not going to do some of that. We all do some of that. What I'd like you to do is invite yourself to have a new permission that doesn't look like a list of resolutions. What it looks like is permission for kindness, for joy, for doing what makes you happy. And, it doesn't mean you're going to sit on the couch and eat bonbons and watch television. It really doesn't, because you probably have a preference for having good health. That preference will probably lead you to maybe go on long walks that you haven't been taking. Maybe that preference will lead you to going to a different gym or to trying something new at the gym. It's a little cattail going by. Maybe that preference will lead you to meeting up with a group of people and starting, a book club, a card club, a joke-telling club, a baking club, a once a month get together and cook a meal at my house club. Something that feeds your soul. Something that feeds your spirit. So the more you feed your soul, the more your spirit soars, the easier it is to really be who you are and get what you want, right? And again, I'm not saying there's a lot of times people say, oh, well, we can't have everything that you want. And I say, well, maybe not. The thing is, if you don't try, you won't know. And also, sometimes we think we want something until we go for it and realize we either don't want it or don't want what comes with it. So please, this year, give yourself permission to dream big. Give yourself a set of permissions that works for you, rather than resolutions that make you feel like you're in a brand new box, but it's still a box. And again, I'm going to encourage you to advocate for yourself. This is something that we often don't do. I'm going to tell you a short story about this past year for me, which has been very hard for me. I was sick most of the year this year. I started a year ago, October. I caught some kind of flu from my granddaughter from school, and then it went from there to a sinus infection, to pink eye, to COVID last January, to another round of pink eye, to a series of post-COVID ailments that were absolutely bizarre. And eventually I sorted out through a lot of through a lot of diligent research and talking to people, I figured out that the deal was I had long COVID. And my primary was not, she didn't know what was going on until we had that conversation. And then she finally looked things up and agreed with me, which again, didn't make me too confident in the system. Long story short, I was having serious problems, not just with breathing, but with keeping my oxygen levels up. And it was, I couldn't do much. I would walk up the stairs to use the bathroom up here, and sometimes I'd have to use my inhaler. That's how bad it was. I would go down and do one little thing. I would sweep the kitchen floor and I'd sit down on the couch and fall asleep. So what I'm saying to you is it took me being vigilant, being the researcher, being my self-advocate in order to convince, coerce, command her ultimately to refer me on to some other people who then began to sort it out for me. It's only been about a week and a half that I went to someone, an allergist, that discovered that my lung function was down to 31%. And he did finally figure out some of the things that were happening, put me on a medication, and lo and behold, a week later, I'm no longer waking up wheezing, which is the first time in more than a year. So, all I'm saying is, when he said to me, listen, you're lucky, with how low your lung function is, you easily could have had a heart attack or a stroke. He said to me, you're really one in a million that would go with this level of vigilance and keep on trying to find what you need. And I thought, yeah, this is what people need to be able to do. They need permission to trust that their bodies are giving them a message when there's something wrong, and just not accept what people are saying if it doesn't fit what's happening to you. So I'm passing that on to you because I'm feeling much better just in the past week, and I'm sure I'm going to make a full recovery, and that's awesome. But I'm telling you this because it's not only about our health. We do a very similar kind of thing when we compromise with our life force, with our what we choose to do, what we want to participate in, when we give ourselves away to what other people want us to do. So I'm offering this to you, first of all, as a cautionary tale when it comes to your physical health, but also as a place to begin to choose yourself, to know what's right for you, more so than not. And yes, there are times when, oh, here comes the kitty tail. There are certainly times when we cannot trust our own mind. And I'm not suggesting that you trust the things that your mind is telling you. I'm suggesting that you trust your instinct, your intuition, what your body is telling you. That's what I'm suggesting, that you read the signs and signals, not try to quote unquote go up in your head, which would more than likely lead to some old pattern or habit that might again compromise your well-being mentally, physically, or emotionally. So this year, starting towards the end of January, I am going to put up a new series of classes which will all be about practical magic, Magic 101, how to practice the movement and shifting of energy in your life, what that's about, what it means to practice magic. Do you have to be a witch to practice magic? No, you do not. Magic is something that actually, our definition of magic essentially is having things occur that we don't necessarily know how to explain. We're going to keep it very simple. But magic is a practice of using our intention to move and direct the flow of energy deliberately. The thing is, we do it almost all the time, except it's unconscious. And so we are magically building and moving and shifting flows of energy, putting us in the path of things that work for us and things that don't work for us, out of our consistent, repeated emotions and intentions. So I'm going to talk quite a bit about that, how we do it and how we can take charge of it, how we can actually make magic in our lives and practice magic in a way that works, in a way that allows us to have more agency in our own lives. So I look forward to sharing those classes with you. Again, they will start at the end of January. I'll post something before then. And in the meantime, please give yourself some time over this coming 3, 4, 5 days. That would be just what you need and just what you want. Give yourself the break that you're longing for. Give yourself that drive in the country if that's what you want. Or take yourself to a place you've never been and have a cup of tea or a meal in a place you've never been to by yourself if that's what works for you. Or grab a friend and go spend an afternoon at a movie relaxing. So please do something kind for yourself. And if you know somebody that's had a hard year, or somebody that's not well, or somebody that's lonely or depressed, please offer them a little kindness as well. Think about, what can I do to lift myself up? And if I'm lifting myself up, perhaps I can extend a hand to someone else as well. And that's the thought I want to leave you with, to give yourself some pleasure and some joy on your way out of this year and into the new one. See about what you can leave behind, what baggage you need to let go of before you get on the train called 2024. So I wish you a very, very lovely new year. I wish you great joy and excitement and pleasurable excitement and adventure. And I will see you soon. I will post a meditation that goes with this chat later on today. And in the meantime, a very happy new year to you, and thanks so much for tuning in to me, Raven Dana, and having this little walk between the worlds with me. Bye now.